I've been growing my indoor plant collection for about 10 years now, and I'm now at the point where I have over 200 of them, and they seem to be thriving, but I have made plenty of mistakes along the way to get to this point. So I want to save you all the heartache and pain and money and share my top tips for plant success that I wish I knew at the beginning, so that you can finally see them flourish and not sit there looking glum. Some of them are a bit unconventional and might go against what you have previously read, but they've worked wonders for me, and I'll show you the proof. Have a butcher's at this guy. This is my Philodendron verrucosum, and I've been working like a dog over the last year or so to get this guy to successfully climb up this moss bowl so that he can flex his muscly arms. The leaves. Anyway, doing this has not been an easy ride, as you can see with the latest leaf wanting to turn his back on all his friends. But why is this happening? Well, it's all because I made a grave mistake when moving into this new gaff of mine. I put him here, with the window about 4 meters to his left and this grow light about 30 centimeters to his right. Well, the pull of the Sansi grow light was far greater than the pull of the window, and it was like a moth to a flame. For me, this demonstrates perfectly the stranglehold light has over our little darlings. The lesson here is to think about where the light is coming from and then plonk in your little guys to suit that so they don't get into a crooked mess. If you've got a keen eye, then you'll notice that a bunch of my plants face away from the room and we only get to enjoy their backside. That's because I've made the ultimate sacrifice and put plant health above room aesthetics. I've let them face the light rather than have them get all twisted as they try to turn around to lap up the rays. You see, not all plants want to be rotated like we've all been told. Sure, rotating is great for bushy specimens like peace lily and calafare, and for those that grow equally on all sides like a jade, but for those that have a climbing habit like Mr. Monstera, it's best to leave them facing in one direction. So, this Philodendron verrucosum. I've now moved him to this spot so that the pull from the light is coming from the right direction. With luck, he'll grow how I want him to. Ooh, a pig! So, what's one of the first things I did when I moved into my new digs last month? Buy more plants, of course. More space, more plants, right? I've got a ton on the way from Grow Tropicals, but in the meantime I picked up this pretty calafare and this handsome zebra plant from a local garden centre, and I'm a big fan. The only problem is that this zebra plant is already starting to go a little bit limp, and it's all my fault. I've just not left him alone. I've poked, I've prodded, I've put him in this pot, put him in that. I've made him the star of an amateur YouTube video. Basically, his head is spinning from all the doting I've been doing, and now his leaves are showing me how stressed he is. I know it sounds weird, but touching our plants too much is a bad idea. The oils from our hands and the clumsiness of our fingers can leave them screaming, "Leave me alone!" If they had mouths, of course. They just want to sit there and soak up the sun, so try to resist all your natural instincts to kill them. I mean dote on them. Something I love doing on this channel is showing you all my blunders so that you don't make the same mistakes as me. Seriously, I love the feedback I get in the comments too. I've got another one for you, and the scars are showing themselves here with this Ficus teneki and here with this Philodendron verrucosum. When a few of the leaves on a plant like this start to suddenly go brown at the edges, it normally means one thing. No, not chlorine. Ficus aren't fussed. Instead, think big oaf, fat fingers, watering can, and negligence. I wasn't doing as I always preach in my videos, which is to check deep into the soil before watering. I've got 2 kids to feed, and life gets busy looking after them as well as the 200 other green babies, so that's my defence. So yeah, checking my plant troubleshooting guide that you can get for free with a link in the description to this video, by the way, tells me that this is likely an overwatering issue. It wouldn't be so bad if I did what I'm supposed to do and check for excess water the next day. I didn't. So when I went back a week later, there was a puddle and a couple of browning leaves. The damage was done. And once a leaf turns, there's no saving it. You'd think I'd learn my lesson because the same thing happened with this guy. It's why he's been cut back and had to regrow new limbs, the poor little guy. A cheeky little hack to help with this is to create a little platform for your little guy to sit on inside the decorative pot, almost like a booster seat. This can be a layer of stones or just an upside down plastic saucer. This keeps his bum off the floor so he sits above any pooling water. Now, speaking of laziness, something I am actually pretty good at is doing this. I hate my plants looking ugly, so if anything is starting to look a bit ropey, I cut it out. I want to be able to show off my plants to everyone that comes round, which is hardly ever. Anyway, this shouldn't be done only for aesthetics, my plant friend. It will actually make your little buddy much healthier. Generally, an overgrown specimen like this will have a hard time getting light and air into the middle of the plant. Overcrowding can cause leaves to die off from a lack of light, and also for nasties like mould and fungus to take hold. You can even go the extra mile and get a fan on the go, but I've not really gone to that level. This is actually meant to mimic wind and help strengthen stems. I'll leave that one with you though. We're just coming into the depths of winter as I'm recording this, and you might assume that this is the time to down tools and not do anything, even if your plant is in dying need of your help. Spring and summer can be busy times for us. The sun is out and we spend less time indoors doting on our green babies. Come autumn, this period of neglect can leave them wanting a much needed haircut or nappy change. But should you do it? They're dormant, right? So if we mess with them, they'll die a horrible death. I used to think this, and my plants really didn't thank me for it. I've now learned that if something needs doing, I better do it, no matter what time of year it is. Got a succulent that is a smooth criminal? Chop and reset even if it is 5 degrees Celsius outside. Got a level 3 root bound plant? Then have absolutely no fear about changing his nappy. He really needs it after all. Wondering whether to fertilise in winter like he did in the summer? I do, and my plants hold me in high esteem for it. Probably. The only real change I make is moving plants away from hot radiators when the central heating comes on. Hot, dry air and tropical plants aren't best friends. I'll try not to bore you with stories about my new home for too much longer, but indulge me for a couple more minutes. The great thing about living in this green and pleasant country of mine is that the sun never shines. Instead, we get a ton of rain. I love it. Honestly, I do. Anyway, in my old gaff, I had no real way of collecting it to use on my indoor green buddies, but it seems I might just have that here. The previous owners have left behind 2 massive water butts collecting rain that falls onto the greenhouse. And look, they're full to the brim. Mother Nature's finest is hands down the best water you can use on your plants. It's free of man-made nasties and even has trace amounts of nitrogen, which would be a real boon for your little guys. So I'm happy I've now got this option. I'll just have to make sure I screed out any nasties before using it. Nothing will bring down a burgeoning plant collection quicker than a pest infestation. If you can't collect rainwater, my plant friend, then treating tap water with water conditioner will go a long way. I sometimes have to remind myself of the core reason we keep plants indoors. What's yours actually? Let me know in the comments. For most of us, I think it's just simply to make things look nice. Now, I'm no Bobby Burke or anything. Mr. Sheffel basically tells me what to do and how to do it, but I've picked up a few pointers along the way to help make my plant collection look halfway respectable. Here's a few. A favourite one of mine recently is to get your plant off the floor with some plant stands. I've got this old school one that is home to a couple of green buddies, and these more modern ones that just help give the plant some height. Pots are everything, and it's worth investing in different styles and materials to really make your collection sing. I used to buy cheap pots like this from IKEA, but I have moved away from this recently because I think they look rubbish. You want your plant to sing, and a nice pot really does help. You can even repurpose vintage tins and whatnot to make something really quirky. I bang on about grow lights all the time on this channel, of course, but they don't have to only be functional. They can have a bit of pizzazz about them. Check out this floor lamp that I've plugged a Sansi 36 watt grow bulb into. A cheeky way to give your fussy plants that extra bit of light with hardly anyone knowing about it. And you can grab a 25% discount on Sansi lights in the description, by the way. And then we have the rule of 3. This is one that I struggle to implement because I've got far too many plants for my own good, but if you've got a far more reasonable amount, then try grouping them into 3s rather than 4s or 5s. I'm not sure why, but groups of 3 always looks the best. This isn't me being a genius, this is a tried and tested design rule, and you really want to avoid styling like this. Everything is at the same level, and it looks dead boring. Try mixing up the sizes of the plants and putting something underneath to add some height. And finally, don't do what I do and just plonk all my plants together with another bunch of plants. They look much nicer when used as an accent piece to your other possessions. Ooh, accent, check me out. Anyway, a collection of items like this always looks nice with a bit of greenery nestled in too. My plants have a fantastic knack of surprising me. Just when I think they're at death's door or they look like they're never going to perk up, they turn a corner and start showing their best selves. This string of hearts is a case in point. Looking at how sparse she was, you might think I would have been tempted to chuck her out, but no. I decided to restart her last year to see if I could finally get the best out of her, and it looks like I might be onto something. When plants are looking sad, it's normally because of something we've done or are doing to them. My mistake was keeping her high up on a shelf where no light was getting to the crown. She's much happier here, lapping up the sun all day long. Now there is a plant that rises like a phoenix every year if you let it. I had no idea, but alocasias go dormant due to the lack of light over winter and rise from their slumber in spring as if nothing has happened, leaving you with a recuperated plant. Look, it's happening here. In the past, Mr. Alocasia Malo would be well acquainted with the inside of the SMP bin, but not this time, I know better. The crux of all this waffle is just to say don't give up on a plant if you can help it, unless it truly is dead. If anything, try propagating it to start again. I talked about the evils of overwatering earlier, and the truth is there's a couple of things you can do to help you help your plants. One is to always put your guy in a pot with drainage holes so that excess water can drain out easily, and two is to use the right soil. I used to repot all my guys into straight up compost, and I had a revolt on my hands. Tools were downed and dummies were flying all over the place. Nowadays I use cyber soil and things have calmed down thankfully. If you have no clue what I'm talking about, then you should definitely watch this video next because I'll give you all the details on why soil and compost is your plant's worst best friend and what you should use instead. I'll see you there.